Alright, disassembly and reassembly of the AR7. First off, a little note. Whenever you're doing any type of disassembly or something, it's nice to have a little bowl or dish or something, put your little pins and screws, springs, what have you into. I'm just using the top of a stack of DVDs. So, for this disassembly, you will be needing a flathead screwdriver. So, step one, as always, clear the weapon, remove the magazine, and I'm checking the chamber. Chamber is empty. For those who don't know, the AR7, I'll get that in a minute, disassembles, sort of. It's a breakdown type gun. And so you can pull the barrel off just by turning this nut right here, and it pops the barrel right off, which I'm actually going to use to reach that. I just dropped and hit the tripod leg a few times. Let me fix that. There we go. You know what? I'm going to put you right there for now. Then the stock comes off. Turn this screw right here. Yeah, I got that tight. There we go. I'm going to show you this. For those who are not familiar, I'll show you this little feature real quick. So you just turn that, and it'll pop loose. It is captive, so it's not going anywhere. You can pull the receiver off. Now the butt pad opens up, and inside you see these cutouts. Now, this is the standard magazine for it, 8 rounds. It fits in there. The receiver fits in there. And the barrel fits in there. So everything fits into that stock. And I'm going to leave the barrel in there. But all I need is the receiver. Do this assembly on it. I just used a paracord. I built me a little sling for it. It's not the greatest sling in the world, but it works pretty decent. I'll set that down, bring this back. This screw right here is the only screw you need to take off. So just unscrew that. And pop the side plate out. The easiest way to do it is just stick your finger down to the magazine well and pull up. Now, pay very close attention to this right here, okay? How this spring sits. Notice how the closed end is facing the butt and it's around the top, okay? Because that is the most trickiest part, putting this gun back together. Getting that spring in there just right. Alright, jump that thing again. Alright, well, whatever, leave it there. So the first thing you need to do is remove your magazine release. See, it's already starting to pop out of there. But there's a little captive spring right there. Easiest way to do it is stick your thumb right on there. Just pop it right on out. Spring come on out. And you got your ejector. Now it's in there in a place where you really can't get to too well. Well, there you go. So sometimes you might need to use your screwdriver and just pop it out. Now, this is a little tricky. The easiest way to do this without messing everything all up is to just pop that spring up and down. Now there's a spring on the back, but it's not too much. So you can just pull your trigger right on up. Now these pins fall out. So you got the one with no ridges is in the front. Oh, that ain't good. I think I see it right there. Yeah, there it is. Then the one with ridges goes in the back. There's your trigger. That's not really a firing pin. You can kind of pull that bolt back to assist you on this one. Pull the hammer out. There's a pin in there too. The long end goes down. Then you got your spring and your hammer. Your bolt is as simple as just pushing down on the face of the bolt a little bit, pulling your bolt handle out, and your bolt slides on out. Guide rods come off, springs come off. There's your bolt. You can scrub everything down. The only thing left is the safety, which I don't mess with. I never mess with safeties for two reasons. One, generally they're a little more complex than I want to deal with. Secondly, if you screw anything up on this gun, the safety is the most important. Simply because it's the one thing that you do not want to mess up. You mess the bolt up, okay, well, you can get a new bolt, whatever. You can get a new safety and all, but, you know, it's just so much more complex to deal with. So, in this case, the safety is actually a very simple mechanism. It just turns and then blocks the gun. So, it's not too much work in there, but still, I'm not messing with it. So you can scrub everything on down. That's one thing I love about this. I mean, you can just take a brush, get all up in there. Reassembly. First things first, you got two holes in the back of your bolt. Those where your springs go. Get your guide rod assembly. Hopefully your springs will cooperate enough to where they're not all wobbling around. Now, the extractor goes towards the ejection port. This gets a little funky because the bolt likes to roll on you. So you can put it down on the table, push it up against your gut, and just push down with your finger. Get your bolt handle in there. Now, the tricky part. Remember I was telling you about that spring? You have to assemble this thing before you put it. There you go. There you are. You have to assemble this before you put it in the gun. So, relation to the receiver towards you like so. Like that. Like that. Okay. That's why I really love the gun room. Has just a white floor. And the big post goes down. Okay? So that's how it goes. And it slides up into the bolt. And this is where it gets a little tricky. You kind of have to get those springs over the little lump right there. Now this bottom spring, you just sit and rest right there. Okay. Now how I like to do this is get your straight pin and stick it in there. Then get your trigger. Now your trigger has to go between those two spring arms, okay? So I set my trigger down in there. Now I do cheat, and I use a little screwdriver, and I get that spring, that back spring, and I use that, I'll pull the trigger out real quick, to hold that spring up. Sometimes it works, it takes a little bit. Now you put your little pin with the grooves back in. It should sit right there. Bring your other one around, snap it into place. Check the trigger, make sure it works fine. Put your ejector back in. Now it goes above this little lip right here. So you kind of just roll it up in there. We'll drop right into place. Get your magazine release and your magazine release spring. Now this might get a little tricky. Earlier I was doing this and it shot across the room. So you want to put the spring in there. Remember, the serrations goes towards the trigger. Loop it up here, and what I do is I stick my thumb over it. So it's going against the metal in my thumb. Just work it up in there. And get it into place. Okay? Put your plate back on. And that little indent that little pin right there goes to the hole right here. So everything should line up just right. Snaps right in. Now before I screw anything down, I give it a check. So you put your screw back together. I guess you don't really put your screw back together, but you put your screw back in. Get it tightened down. Go ahead and reassemble it to its full configuration. That's one of the things I love about this rifle. I can have a fully loaded 8-round magazine always ready in the stock. And I got a lot bigger, I think 20 round. I'm really 100% sure on the capacity right now. But in the gun. So I've got a good amount of rounds to go. And this just slips right into there. Screw it down. Trying to screw it down as tight as I did last time. Put your barrel on, and there's a little knob right here, a little cutout right there, so you just kind of fit right together, and you'll feel it snap in. Tighten down your bolt or your barrel nut. There you go. Now we'll give it another final check real quick. What I'm going to do is it's cocked, I'll pull the trigger, and I want to cycle it. Okay, so everything's fully functioning. Do a magazine release check. Yep. So, everything's back to good on it. And there you go.